Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we are going to be talking about, can Bitcoin go back down to the 80,000s or lower? What would happen? Why I personally believe that wouldn't happen. And, we are going to also discuss some other things. So, first of all, right, what do I personally believe? Well, I believe, ladies and gentlemen, the reversal is coming soon. The reason why I believe this is for a couple of reasons. First, we're going to start off with Bitcoin, and then we're going to dive into other coins. We can see that this candle over here, mid January candle, took out the last weekly relevant Bitcoin candle. It swept its liquidity. Okay. It swept its liquidity. Usually, right, when we get some type of sweep, right, we get a nice big sweep. We usually have some kind of tap back into this candle before we start reversing up, right? We can see same thing over here, right? We had a nice big sweep over here, right? This is during the ETF era, right? It pumped up for like an hour, then it sold the news, then we're back down here. People thought we're going back down to 20K, 30K. I remember, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It all it did was just sweep this liquidity, create a reverse head and shoulder, and then pump up. Okay. Another thing is also, something very, very similar, right? It goes lower here, boom, pumps, right? Then it comes back down, then we get a tap into this candle, and then guess what? It pumps up. Boom. For this week over here, back in March, right? Early March, we're going below this last relevant weekly candles. We take out liquidity. People think again, it is over. Bitcoin is going to create lower lows. Guess what? No, the weekly candle ended beautifully. And guess what? The next week, it pumped up. Okay. So many times something like this has played out where it looks like it's looking bad until it's not. Okay. It looks like it's looking bad until it's not. Hence why I personally, this is personally one of my reasons why I believe this is not going to be going lower, right? Because, every time we have swept some type of last relevant liquidity, we reverse very shortly after that. We talked about the 92K play, right? Tapping back into it. It is exactly what happened. Now, what I'm waiting for is some type of triple tap confirmation, right? This is what I think is the most likely play. The second most likely play, I think, is we actually sweep this low over here, and then we have the nice massive rally, right? Those are my two primary options. I am not even considering, Bitcoin going down to 80 or 70K. For something like that to happen, ladies and gentlemen, it would have to have a weekly candle close below, I would say, at least, in my opinion, below 91.5K, right? That is when I would truly, start considering, oh man, this is not looking good, right? But as of right now, we have never closed that low. The lowest we have closed is $93,500. That is the lowest we have closed. The date I am recording this is Friday, and Saturday and Sunday, usually not much happens. Sometimes Sunday near the end, right? Something happens. As of right now, the candle close is going to be something most likely very similar to what it is now, right? The weekly candle close. And if it were to close like this, for me, this is not a sign that we are going to go lower. Not only that, but if we go to just even the altcoins we covered, we can see that it is going to very, very relevant zones where it's kind of like this is it, right? In terms of reversing. If we start going lower, then we are pretty much, sadly to say, it just seems like altcoin season would be canceled, and we are going to be, looking to be taking out every single low, right? Same thing with render, right? Render over here, it is in a very, very big zone. It is in a very, very big zone right over here, right? Which is why I don't believe we will, go lower and lower, because if that were the case, then we're going to be going back to very low levels of bear season, like $1.40, $2, and etc. Same thing with Caspa, right? Caspa, we talked about the 8.5 cent area. We went a little bit lower, which is fine because you still would have got a great deal, right? We swept this weekly candle over here. And for me, this is it, right? If I am bullish and I am the market makers, and what I've seen from, trading forex and gold and, crypto all these years, usually it sweeps one of the last relevant weekly or monthly candles, and then it starts reversing. If, I would be wrong and other people would be wrong, then something like this would play out, right? Then usually that means we were wrong completely. And then we kind of mirror everything that's happened over here, right? We mirror all of this price action, which would drop Caspa, all the way back down potentially to like a cent or a cent and a half. So I don't see that happening. I do not see that happening on most coins, right? Same thing with XRP. XRP would have to drop all the way back down to levels that are really low, like of $1, if Bitcoin were going down to 80 or 70K, which I don't think that would happen because, as you know, price usually mirrors itself. More or less in these markets, price mirrors itself, right? We usually, when it has a fast pump, it has a retracement all the way down to where the pump started. And you can just see that, like I said, the way the markets move, they just mirror of where previous price was. So we could technically see XRP go all the way back to $1 or even something like 67 to, 75 cents, which I don't see happening, not in this context. Same thing for this, right? Same thing for this, right? If I were wrong and let's say Bitcoin goes down to 80 or 70K, then ICP would go something like this before we would rally up. And I don't see this happening for every single coin, right? It would happen for every single coin in the event I am wrong, but I believe the context of the market is that we already corrected to the point of, for so many coins, we are in big, massive zones and we have had big, massive corrections that I don't see it going any lower unless we were all wrong about altcoin season, the timing of it, and how far Bitcoin and other coins are going to retrace, right? I do not see that happening right now. Any coin, right? Any coin. I don't see Ondo doing the same thing, correcting itself, going back down to levels like this, right? Because this is how it would play out if Bitcoin were going down to 80 or 70K, right? Pretty much, the whole cycle would play out. And then it's kind of like we would start from the beginning. It would pretty much would play out like the bear season, okay? Because that's how the bear season plays out. The bear season, we can see, that's something on Bitcoin, right? We can see that it does its thing for whatever, right? Bear season and the other seasons, they do its thing. They pump, right? They pump, they go up, and eventually they correct themselves all the way down to a very big, relevant support and resistance before they start the same thing, right? That is just how it's always been historically. So I don't see us really correcting ourselves going back down here because if we do, then, all these coins are pretty much going to be going back to when they were in prices and zones of bear season. And that would indicate, uh-oh, I don't even know if there's going to be an altcoin season this time around. It would be very, very, very scary. Also, one other thing I have to mention is that we were, going sideways for pretty much 7.5 months. I really doubt we are going to get a full on retracement to retest this before, potentially going up higher. Technically, we can because we would be going on top of a huge resistance, right? And we would be technically creating a higher low, and then we can create a higher high, right? You know, I personally do not see that happening. If I am wrong, then it's not going to be looking great for all of our altcoins. I'll tell you that right away. If Bitcoin does go down another 30%, you got to remember this is a lot, right? This is a lot for Bitcoin. Then you could expect your altcoins to be going down to levels of where they were in the bear season. And in a way, you can count that as a cycle, which means things are going to be different. Now, there's much more uncertainty. I know things are already different now, but like I said, I do believe the context is that we are just going sideways and accumulating, right? Accumulating to go further up, just the way we were over here in 2021. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen, right? That is it. For Bitcoin and for multiple altcoins, it is the time to, where it has swept its last weekly candles or tapped into weekly or monthly order blocks. And I believe, most of them are in very, very big zones. And I just believe this is it. This is the reversal. And I am not changing my bias until I see the monthly and weekly candles close, right? You got to remember that is what ultimately decides everything is when and how the monthly and weekly candles close, right? All the 4 hour and the dailies, they do show some type of price action more short term. Like I said, for me, once again, this is just more sideways movement to go and continue going higher. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.